Alright, we've had our bump, and you wonder why am I standing up here? Because I want you to see this. This is the cherry tree, right? The view that I get to see out my window. And really the only way to see it is to stand up here and show it to you. So there it is. And there's the magnolia. We'll go closer to see its leaf colour. It's not so obvious, but I love it. And there's the hole I made when I created the mulching pile. That big gap there, you can see there's a tree that's been pruned, is now there. And it needs to be pruned, otherwise it will grow itself to death and die. That's just how it works with some plants that didn't actually evolve to last for a long time. Morning, Linda. Good morning, good morning. So we're enjoying the view from up here because it's different and because it's the only way that you get to see the cherry tree. Haley, it's been ages. It's lovely to see you, honey. Julian, good morning. And you might as well see the view down on this bed, which kind of looks like something. You can also see some large weeds in there that I haven't pulled out. This creeper that I use here really I need to prune it off the footpath because the footpath's almost gone, but you know, it happens. So let's go walkies. Morning, Heather. Just been showing off the garden view. Good morning, Laura. Let's get a bit closer to see why I like the magnolia leaves. Aren't they wonderful? They're just mottling and changing and being beautiful. I love the subtlety. And look at the shapes in here. Every year I have to prune this thing back because it grows like a monster. And it would probably it would get bigger than the space can contain. But it's beautiful. There's the kawakawa tree that I pruned. And it will go mad. It will completely grow back like a wild thing, which it is a wild thing. And see, here are the magnolia blooms that will come out in spring. G'day, Ellen. Lovely to see you. We're just doing a cold tour of duty in the garden. Tour of duty? What the hell am I saying? Anyway, here's a native fern, which got very long, and then when I pruned the tree, see, it's come up with new fronds and they're shorter. So we don't often look in the undergrowth, but there it is. Various things that have to cover the ground, because if you don't cover the ground, you get weeds. And here's the view up underneath the magnolia tree. This is the big magnolia tree, which has flowered a couple of years now, which is nice because, you know, it took 10 years before it flowered. And there's the cherry tree from this end of the world. So it is beautiful here. Right, I'm going to turn the camera around and get into it. Today I want to talk about heart coherence. Because yesterday, hi Dr. Naz, beautiful to see you. Yesterday I had to master myself. And that's a long story. I'm not going to tell you why I had to master myself, but trust me, my body really was saying, there is a tiger in the room and you need to be afraid. And there was not. And I really had to master myself. So guess what I did? I put my attention in my heart and I started to breathe there. And for a little while, that was all I could do because it was powerful. But I was also grateful because I knew that this morning, like 2 hours ago, that I would be able to sit down and come face to face with this aspect of myself that I was experiencing as pretty scared, and do something about it. And I did. And I'm grateful because I think I've got some more work to do. But, you know, I overcame myself. So the point is that heart coherence is actually a scientifically solid-based way that you can overcome fear or any other crappy emotional state that you do not enjoy. So I want to talk about what heart coherence is and the little bit that I know about it, but even a little bit is enough. So what is heart coherence and what's this whole deal? Let's start with the fact that the heart has about 40,000 neurons in it, its own neurons. So it has a brain. It's called the cardiac plexus, I think. And this brain thinks independent of this brain. Now, here's the thing. There are nerves that go between, neurons that go, not neurons, not nerves, nerve cells, neurons that go between the heart and the brain, right? Efferent neurons go from the brain to the body. Afferent neurons go from the body to the brain. Now you would think, unless you know this amazing number, that there'd be an equal number of neurons going from the brain to the heart and from the heart to the brain. But in fact, that is not the case. Because 95% of the neurons that go between the brain and the heart go from the brain to the heart. So, I beg your pardon, she says it back to front. They go from the heart brain to the head brain. So of those neurons that communicate between the heart and the brain, 95% of the communication is from the heart to the brain. Excuse me for getting it mixed up. Which is amazing, because then you think, hell, if that's really the case, my heart must have some influence over my brain, right? And yeah, depressing, sad, scared, whatever it is, stuff comes up. And you know, it happens. It does. We have to overcome ourselves, because there's plenty of stimulus in our lives to say, you need to be worried about this, or you need to be angry about this, or you need to be despairing about this, or whatever it is. It happens to me too. So the question is, you know, what can we do about it? So this is the first thing to understand, because if you understand this, the fact that your heart has influence over your brain and it thinks independently, that's pretty amazing. Morning, Jen! Yes, heart, brain, and brain, heart, indeed. So that's the first thing. Your brain is influenced by your heart. So, okay, right, how does that happen? So, what is heart coherence? Coming back to that question. Well, everybody knows what it looks like, you know, when you see on the TV or in a movie, the pulse, you know, on a heart monitor. Hi, Adrian! Right? So, I don't know when this research started, but it's been going for a while. This is not new information anymore, not by a long chalk. We all used to think that having a regular heartbeat, having a really regular heartbeat was a good thing. But actually, it turns out that there's a thing called heart rate variability, which is the ability of the heart to go faster or slower depending upon what's going on and what it needs to adapt to. And in fact, the more heart rate variability you have, the healthier you are. So if you measure the heart rate variability of a child, it's always going up and down. It's all over the place. It goes fast, it goes slow, whatever. And if you think about it, if you're sitting quietly doing nothing, then your body has a certain amount of requirement for oxygen and nutrients and everything else. If you're running, it's got a different, so it's got to adapt. If you're running and you go uphill, it's got to adapt. If you're going downhill, the demands are different. It's got to adapt. And in fact, the heart, when it's really healthy, has amazing heart rate variability, and it can change from beat to beat to beat to beat to beat. So what people discovered is that the gap between the beats, not the, you know, is the rhythm the same or whatever, but the variation in the space between the beats was actually really important. And so they started measuring heart rate variability. Morning, Tristan! And what they discovered is that if a person is upset or angry or scared or any of the negative emotions, right, doesn't matter what it is, let's not make a big long list, guilty is a big one, whatever, you are going to see that the heartbeats, like the gaps between the heartbeats, are really irregular. Some of them are long, some of them are short, and when you map them over a period of time, you get this jagged, irregular line that's, you know, like, on the other hand, if a person is feeling profound gratitude, abundantly blessed, loved, and joy, peaceful, you know, an elevated emotion, the heart rhythm, the rhythm of the space between the beats becomes really, really regular. And it's this, I mean, it still goes up and down, but it's very, very regular. And I have a theory about this, which I've not bothered to do the research to find out if it's true. If you've ever noticed, hi Emily! If you've ever noticed, if you're doing long breathing, you know, long in, long out, that when you breathe in for long, your heart rate increases. And when you breathe out long, your heart rate slows down. And that's because when you breathe in, the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight system, that gets activated. And when you breathe out, the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest and slow down and relax system, gets activated. So it kind of makes sense. You breathe in, it goes up. You breathe out, it goes down. Hi, Grey Wolf! So, it would kind of make sense, even from my theory, but like I say, I don't know if this is actually true, that if a person's in heart coherence, their breathing's going to be regular, their parasympathetic and their sympathetic branches of their autonomic nervous system are going to be in balance, and so you get this lovely rhythm. Now, the heart, and Joe Dispenza's words, and Joe's my hero because I learned all this from him, the heart starts to beat like a drum when you get coherent, when you manage to elevate your emotions out of whatever that scary thing is that makes it all irregular. And so when you manage to elevate your emotions, and you can do this when you're working really hard, you don't have to sit still and be all, spiritual and peaceful and quiet. People can be coherent when they're working really hard, and they can be incoherent when they're working really hard. So it's actually independent of what you're doing. It's about your emotional state. So this coherent heart rhythm then communicates, remember those afferent neurons that go from your heart to your brain? Sends a really coherent signal to your brain. This is what we're trying to get to the point, Maddie. Sends a really coherent signal to your brain, and your brain starts to get more organised. Instead of looking for the tiger behind the tree, coming from around the corner of the house, is it going to fall on my head? What am I going to fall over? What's going to hurt me next? Instead of the brain being incoherent and constantly firing all these different neural networks irregularly like a symphony orchestra that's all going, no conductor, the heart starts to be the conductor. And it beats a regular beat, and the brain starts to synchronize with the heart and become coherent, and then things really start to work. So that is a little bit of the science that I have learned about heart coherence, and why I go on and I do this. I have to do this myself. I'm not saying it's always easy, because it's not. The time when I most need to get coherent and generate elevated emotions is when I find it most difficult. Right? That's the whole point. She says, Nellie, this is me swaying. So yesterday, what happened? How much it's useful to tell you. So I just had a visual stimulus. There's a thing which is arriving, and which I just allowed myself to look at it a bit more, because I am aware that there's been a very powerful, visceral, physical response that goes off in me in response to the stimulus. And I realised that all the things that I have thought that in the past that response has happened in reaction to, they've all gone away. They don't actually exist anymore. So what's firing up is simply a completely redundant set of neural circuits and memories and old programs that have been really hardwired into my brain and my biology through repeated experience. I hope this makes sense. It's as if you have a game program that's sitting in a computer, and nobody is playing that game program anymore. There are no players, but it still fires up on its own sometimes. If, somebody, the analogy's breaking down, but I hope you get the idea. I really recognised yesterday, this is not even relating to anything yet. It's running on its own. It's not relating to anything anymore. All the things that I used to feel this level of fear about, I don't actually feel this level of fear about anymore. It's just that there are things that are connected with the stuff that I used to feel really scared about, which still fire up the old fear, even though I don't feel really scared about those things anymore. So this is, things sit next to each other in the brain. And so you can actually completely really have resolved the original thing that you used to get scared to crap out about, but the old program's still sitting there. And it fires up. So that happened yesterday. And, I felt the response in my gut, and I now see it. It's totally redundant, Linda. I really recognise it as redundant for the first time, which in itself was really, really cool, because I thought, okay, I'm scared, but actually this is redundant. It's got nothing to do with the thing that I, that might, and you see, it's got nothing to do with what I used to think it was about. And I could actually see that and perceive it and know it, which was really quite something. And I'll tell you the story, but only when I'm through it. It's far too much in me that can get fired up to tell you the story. That's why I consider very carefully. Because I don't want to go into that when I'm talking to you. That's not useful, is it? We'll just all hold it together. No thanks. So I spotted it, and body, stop this. Hi, Abigail. And then I thought, well, that's fine, but that's my brain telling my body what to do, and my brain telling my body what to do isn't going to work. I have to get into my heart. So you can all guess what I did. I got into my heart. And, it was after dinner, and I'd been observing my thoughts and this program slowly firing itself up for a couple of hours, and not getting involved in it, just watching, But hang on, that's not true anymore. I know this isn't true, but I'm still noticing these thoughts, right? And after dinner, I thought, no, I'm not going to. I am not going to go and do my work on Facebook until I've got more coherent, because this is not a good state. So it was dark. It was after dark. So I just went into a darkened room and put my attention in my heart and breathed in and out, and I just focused on that. And I did it for a while. And then after a little while, I remembered, remember what you tell the people in the lives, that you breathe in and out of your heart, and you start to breathe in and out all around you. I was just following my own instructions. And when I do that, there are limitless possibilities, and there's the unified field, and there's love, and there's support, and and I can start to connect with that now. And so I did. And I could have done it more. I had work to do. But there was a point at which I thought, okay, I'm no longer sitting in the program, letting this program torture my body, because it is torture at a body level, and chemically it's bad. And last week I recognised the same response, and I recognised epigenetically what it had done to me in the last 2 days. Because there's a process that has been healing and been going along very nicely for a week, and then it just fell over. And I thought, what the hell happened? And 2 days after this response hit me hard, oh my God, that's what it was. That's the switch. I got to turn this thing back on. I down-regulated a gene with my fear. Turned it back on. It's been fine ever since. Again, I'm not telling you the details yet because I'm still moving through it. But this is potent and it's powerful, and it affects us in real time. We just don't notice it because there's usually so many camels running around in the game program, to use your analogy, Julian, that we don't realise, the individual effect of each one. But this time it was really clear. It's like, oh my God. So I got myself more coherent, and I carried on my day or my evening. And of course this morning I went into the field, and wow, really, I have never had so many thoughts coming into my awareness when I'm already deep, right? And I realised it was my body fundamentally saying, I am not safe to let go of this fear. I have to keep looking for this tiger. If I don't, it's going to jump out from behind a rock and eat me. It was just really, really trying. And for at least, I don't know. I know what point I was at in the meditation. I don't know how long it was. Probably at least 30 minutes, if not 40. And then I felt something just break in my brain, in a good way, right? It's just, and suddenly everything went quiet. It was like this glassy blackness. So, thank God that's gone. And I stayed there, and I fired and wired it, and I got instruction from the unified field because I was connected, I was there, and I come back in a new body. I do that every day now. Because, I changed my mind, so I changed my epigenetics. I'm going to change my body, let me tell you. I felt it today. And all of that stands on the shoulders of heart coherence. You can't do it saying, body, stop being scared. It doesn't work. You have to get into your autonomic nervous system, and the simple, fast, effective, science-based way to do that is through heart coherence. And yeah, there are ways to make your brain coherent. We cheat. We breathe in and out in all directions, and that makes you open your focus. That's going to help you make your brain coherent, because in opening your focus, you get out of survival mode. So also you're getting into your autonomic nervous system, and you can start to give it orders. You've got to get coherent. So I know we haven't done any practice today. We've got 2 minutes. We can do that. We can do it in 2 minutes. Nora, good morning, lovely. So let's do that. If you're not already, because we've been talking about it. Put your awareness in your heart. Now here's the thing that's just flown into my head. If you want nothing else, see these beautiful colours above me? You know, in this space. If you're feeling like your space isn't peaceful and you feel like this space is peaceful, here's a little game. I invite you to be non-local. To stop thinking of yourself as a body that's in your space, in your time, and you're not here. Tell you what, you freaking are here. I can feel you. So why don't you breathe this space in and out? Imagine yourself staring out of my eyes. Because I'm staring out of yours. You know? Oh, good. I can feel that. We're all connected. This space is your space. You visit it. It's your space. And we got a tui singing for us. See, the birds are putting it on. Breathe that in and out. Breathe in and out what you desire. And let all of those neurons in your heart start to inform your brain as you change your state, you elevate your emotions. Just go for gratitude or peace, or choose something and take the risk to feel something different, because your body knows what it's used to feeling, and it's an addict and it doesn't feel safe to change. But you have the ability and the will to say, body, you are safe to change. We're going to breathe in and out of this heart until it becomes more coherent, and then we're going to bring up some elevated emotions and remember that we're connected to everything and there is limitless possibility available. Oh yeah, right, that's who I am. See, we can do that. Big love. Thank you for sharing the journey with me. Thank you for being willing to take the journey yourself. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.